So, hi everybody, thank you for joining us tonight. I'm Helen Mansfield, the MD of Encouraging Women into Franchising, and my conversation today is with Julie Houston, a franchisee of Right at Home UK. Unfortunately, Julie wasn't able to make the live recording time for this session, so we're actually pre-recording this. However, if you do have any questions for Julie as we go through this conversation, still feel free to pop them below the video, as Julie will be back online a little bit later so that she can answer any of your questions in the comments below for you. So hi Julie, thank you for joining me.
Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning. So before we start then, I just want to give everybody a really quick introduction to you and why we're having this conversation today. So Julie bought her franchise over 3 years ago in 2017, and she made a fantastic start to her business so that 1 year later she actually won our EWiF award for New Woman Franchisee of the Year 2018. And Julie hasn't actually come from an entrepreneurial background, and she'd never owned a business before. So her story really is a great example of how being part of a franchise can give you the confidence to start and grow a successful business where you can be your own boss. And we hope with this conversation that you will be inspired to also make the move into franchising, just as Julie has done. So, first then, Julie, if you wouldn't mind just explaining a little bit more about Right at Home and what you guys do.
Yes, so Right at Home is a home care business, a home care franchise, and we help to support people to remain safely at home. It's a quality care company, so we make sure that the standard of care that the clients receive from us is the very best possible standard, and very much the business is built on that quality. So we support people with all sorts of things, from companionship, taking people out. Clearly not, that's been quite tricky over the last few months, but taking people out, making sure they stay engaged with the communities, and that can be elderly people, or it can also be people who need some support, younger people who need some support. So taking them out into the community, we do all sorts of things. We go to art classes, cinemas, libraries, garden centres, so socialising, really helping people socialise and remain part of the community. We also support people who are not able to leave the home, and again for companionship, which is part of everything that we do. We help them with personal care, we help them to deliver medication, we help them around the house and generally do the things that they can't do for themselves to make sure that they stay safe and are able to stay in their own home. More often people are choosing to stay in their own home rather than what maybe was a traditional of going into a care home as they became a little more dependent. So the quality of what we do really is the most important thing, and that's what stands us above the competition, really. Everything that we do focuses on the quality of the care and very much driven around what that person needs and what their family needs in terms of support. We do quite a lot of end-of-life care as well, and that is really personal to me, but really important that you only get one opportunity to make that as good as it can be. So that's a very specialist area, and we have a team that work with end-of-life clients as well. So that's very much what we do in a nutshell, really.
Yeah, it sounds like obviously there's a personal reason there as well as to why you probably got into the Right at Home franchise. So we'll circle back to that probably a little bit later. But to start with, then, if you don't mind, just before you actually bought the Right at Home franchise, sort of talking us through your career path. As I mentioned before, you've come from a very different background, so it'd be good to understand what your background is and the kind of things you did before joining Right at Home.
Yeah, so before I joined Right at Home, I had a very corporate career. So I worked for one of the large retail banks as an area manager, very much sort of a people manager, sort of looking at sales performance and managing a group of branch networks. So sort of operational type role, I suppose. But with quite a HR element, and also making sure that targets were hit, etc. And so I did that in lots of different roles, all sorts of different things, for nearly 30 years. So that was my long-term career. And then I got to the point where I felt that it wasn't for me anymore. It wasn't what I wanted, and I was looking for something else. I've sort of always wanted to set up my own business, but never really knew what. I knew I had the skill set, but I didn't really know what that idea was. So I hadn't the idea of the business to come up with at that stage. So I took redundancy from the bank, and then did a few other things along the way. I worked at one of the local hospices in fundraising, which was brilliant. Really, you know, raising money for such a great cause was a really nice thing to do. But I soon found that I'd sort of outgrown that. It was a part-time role, and then it became a full-time role. I sort of outgrew it and went on to another regional director role, managing people who had been long-term unemployed, trying to get people back into work. And then the contract ended on that role, and I was sort of at the point in my career where I didn't really know what I wanted to do next. So I started to obviously apply for roles. My heart just wasn't in it, and I was getting interviews, and I was like, I don't really want to do them, and I couldn't really decide. So I didn't go for the interviews because I didn't feel it was fair that if my heart wasn't in something, I was never going to do a good job, and I always want to do a good job. So at that point, my husband's dad became ill. I'll probably going into maybe the question that you have next is why care, and we needed to help support him and my husband's stepmom to try and find some care in the home for him. And it was just a shocking experience for us. We couldn't find any quality. It was unreliable for us as a family. We knew nothing about the world of social care, and we just sort of probably quite naively thought that when you need help, you get it. And as probably many people know, that isn't the case. So for us, it was quite a difficult experience, quite shocking at times, and you know, we weren't able to do what we wanted to do, help support that. So I started to look at the care industry to think there's got to be something that is better than what we were able to find as a family. And I came across, you know, a number of companies, Right at Home being one of them, that provided a quality level of care, or said they provided a quality level of care. So I started to look at that. I made some calls and spoke to Kate up at National Office at Right at Home, and it sort of instantly felt a right fit for me. So prior to that, my husband, who's a qualified accountant, I went home and said, I think this is the business that I want to run. And he said, you're having a laugh, aren't you? That was the exact words. And I went, no, I'm not. I'm deadly serious. Could you have a look at it? So he started to look at it and then said, do you know what? I absolutely think you're right. We need to look into this. And then he became involved in, you know, speaking to Kate, and we met up at the franchise exhibition in Birmingham. We met up with Lucy and the team there and had a good chat with them, and sort of it went from there, really.
Yeah, it's interesting. It sounds like you were already starting to think about like a sort of job that gave back with your early jobs at once leaving the bank, and it was just sort of like working your way through until you actually found the right fit for you. So it's interesting, that journey. So if we talk then about how you then went about researching franchises. I mean, did you look at other care franchises as well, or did you look at any other franchises, or was it just solely care franchises?
Yeah, we looked at other franchises. We had been looking at other franchises probably for a couple of years actually, and never even considered care at that point. But there, as I say, there was nothing that was sort of felt that we felt motivated enough, or that we wanted enough to do. So yes, we had. We made initial inquiries and started to look at some of the other care providers as well, but really it was just that it just felt right from everyone we spoke to from Right at Home. You know, the feedback from other owners, and it just seemed a right fit for us, a genuine organisation that genuinely wants to deliver that level of care, and that's what we wanted. I wouldn't want to be involved in anything that wasn't genuine and provide, you know, that all the owners are providing that high level of care, and that's really important to me personally. So yeah.
Of course. Yeah. Okay. So then, So where did you first come across the concept then of franchising? And if you were you just considering franchising as a route to owning your own business, or had you ever even started to think about owning your own business away from franchising?
Yeah, if we had, because obviously I'd got a banking background, so I knew quite a lot about franchising and how it worked, and I'd seen, you know, people's business models as well. From it was quite a long time ago, so it hadn't really come across Right at Home as such, but lots of other franchises. So I knew how that worked, and we'd considered both. But because it was care, because it's such a highly regulated industry, obviously in banking I'm used to dealing with regulations that have to be met, and but because I didn't know the actual care side, I really felt that I needed that support of the franchisor for policies, procedures, you know, all the things that come along with it, with a care company. So it wasn't something that I would ever have considered going into on my own without the support of a franchisor, not care. So yeah, so that's why. So we'd looked and we'd been on the lookout for ideas, and you know, talk things through and played around with ideas, but hadn't come up with the right one.
Yeah, right. So then you said obviously when you'd had such a bad experience of care, you started to then research other care options and opportunities. So what was the steps going forward from there? How did you come across Right at Home?
So when we looked at the different care, so we were doing it on two bases really. It was in a personal capacity, because we needed to find out more information and find out about different companies, but also then we'd started to have that business interest as well, to think, well, actually maybe this could, you know, maybe people could be helped to have better outcomes when they needed support at home. So we then started to look at the competition in the area. So we started to do like the due diligence really, to see if the business idea was workable for us. So we looked at things like, you know, how we'd get the right staff that we would employ, the right mix of area, you know, so that we've got an area that has the area where we would potentially find our staff from, so perhaps more dense areas of population, and then that they would be able to work in the local surrounding areas. So we started to talk to as many people as we could, find out as much information, and then, you know, helped also by National Office Right at Home then at that stage to what I had to do was deliver a business plan. So basically I had to evidence to Right at Home that I was the right person to run one of their businesses, because they are very particular, and they are very focused on people being in the business for the right reasons. So that was all part of the due diligence really, looking at the competition in the area, the standards, other companies, what the client base, all those type of things. So we started to look at that, and of course also look at our financial side of things. So did that work for us? How we could make that work? You know, the investment that we would make into the business, to make sure that was a fit for us as well. So so all those things were happening pretty reasonably quickly actually. Once we'd made the decision, once we'd satisfied ourselves that it was the right business for us, I think we were at the franchise exhibition in September, and I actually then went on the new owners training in November. So because at that point I wasn't working, it was a lot easier for me to spend a lot of time doing the due diligence and making the decision. So yeah.
So what was when you've made first contact with Right at Home, and then talk me sort of like really in detail, like the steps of then actually joining. So I'm assuming you obviously first had a conversation with Kate, who's their franchise recruitment manager, is that right?
Yeah, it was initially mainly with Kate, and then Lucy. We met Lucy at the franchise exhibition, went up to
Lucy?
Lucy Campbell. She's the, I think, a title, is it CEO now, I think?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yep. So we met Lucy at the franchise exhibition, and then went up to National Office to listen to what they had to say. So that's like a taster day. So they take you through what the opportunity is, they talk you through some of the basics about the business, give you an idea of what it would be like to be part of the Right at Home network. And then after that, we had a couple of visits, I think, from memory up to national office, and then we prepared a business plan, which would be looking at. We talked about which area we were interested in, because obviously there's lots of different areas available. So and that was a great fit for us, because one of the big things for me was I wanted to be close to home. I didn't want to be travelling 3 hours every day in a car, which is what I'd been doing previously. So very much to be part of the local community that I've lived and worked in since I've, for a very long time.
Yeah.
So that was really important to me, because and again, that was part of my decision to take on a Right at Home franchise. Was I wanted something that I could be proud of, that I would be part of the local community, and getting involved with the people that I'd worked with for quite a long time.
Yeah.
So I had to then deliver. I had to go up to national office to deliver the presentation, which is sort of like a final sign off, really, for them to say, yeah, we're happy that you really understand what you're getting into. So they're very careful to make sure that you really know what you're getting into, and that you understand the responsibilities, all those things. So part of your business planning and you presenting back to the board is to make sure that they're happy with the quality of franchisees as well. So after that, once we got the sign off on that, which was great, we were then booked on the new owners training, which is a 2-week run through of everything that you need to know to get on and set up your business. So and you meet other owners that are going through things at the same stage as you, which is invaluable in terms of network support.
Yeah, absolutely.
So in care, obviously you have to get authorization from the CQC to be able to practice. That took us until April. So we started the new owner training in November, getting the office set up, getting your registered manager in place, and then putting an application into to the CQC to be registered as a care company in your local area, which can vary depending on the area in which you work.
And when did that come through?
That came through in April. The application went in the end of February, because you've got to have your registered manager in place. All that's got to happen at the same time. So it was the 15th of April 2017 was the day that we got the thumbs up. So you go through a registration interview with the CQC as well. So we went up to Preston, which is our office, and you sort of grilled on all sorts of things, financials, quite rightly so, and the policies, procedures, and the same for your registered manager as well. And once you get the okay from the CQC, then your business is up and running.
It all sounds quite intense.
Yeah, it's great, really interesting. Yeah, I love to learn, so to be constantly learning in this business is amazing. There's something new every day.
I'm sure there is, yeah. Okay then, and so I was going to ask you actually about the sort of support that you got from Right at Home, like when you first started, especially, and do they help you on your journey to becoming accredited with the CQC as well?
Yes, they do. Yeah, they support you with the whole process. They've got a program that helps you go through the first 12 months. So it's almost, these are the things you do, and this is what order you do them in, and there's just lots of support for all parts of the business. So, and it's individual, because not everyone needs support in some areas. We've all got different skill sets, so, and it works really nicely, because you don't, the support's not sort of forced on you. It's sort of, you follow the program, obviously, because that's how you become successful as a franchisee. It's tested, and that's what we did, but we didn't always need to ask for help with some of the areas, but the support's really good to get you set up and running.
Mm-hmm. So were there any, you mentioned sort of skills, you all have different skills, were there skills then from your background that you think have been really massively beneficial to helping you in this new venture?
Yeah, definitely. All the experiences of my long-term career, and the other two jobs I had were invaluable. So because the hospice one was dealing with volunteers, and the my banking career was really a lot of HR, and there are, it's a big people business. We're looking after people, and we employ a lot of people. So that was really important for me in terms of skill set. So I think it is a management franchise, so you need to be able to manage people to run it successfully, and it's really about making sure that you've got the management side of the skills, really, and the care side. As long as you've got a caring nature and you're passionate about what you do, you can learn those policies and procedures and processes.
Yeah, I suppose that is the benefit of the franchise, isn't it? That that's a lot of what they will give you. And like you said, if you just follow their model, which is proven and tried and tested, then you're on your way to success, aren't you?
Yeah,
it's
absolutely.
interesting to know what extra skills that you bring from your background to help with that. So thank you for sharing that. Mm-hmm. And you mentioned as well about the franchise fee. And I know sometimes, like when we talk to people that are potentially thinking of franchising, sometimes the fee can be a bit of a sticking point. But I think, again, it's what you're getting for that fee. And I think that's the really crucial thing to get across is to sort of really grill, I suppose, the franchise on what support you get and what you do get for that fee. And like you said, I think the care industry, with all the regulations and everything like that, I suppose that is a massive part of that, and helping you, like you say, get your CQC accreditation.
Absolutely. I mean, the policies and procedures themselves, to go out and get somebody to do those for you, because you couldn't possibly do them if you hadn't got a background in care for many years, is really expensive. The level of support, so things do go wrong in business, as we all know. If something goes wrong, you've got that support network there to call on. You've got the proven model of business, so that pretty much if you follow that model, you're going to have a successful business. So yes, the upfront fees are really important and significant to look at, but actually if you run in a business, you're in it for a longer term than just those upfront fees. So you've got to look at the benefits long term, so the power of the network and the brand as well, the brand name, which is really important. And that's why I feel the fact that Right at Home really takes seriously the quality of the franchisees is important to me as well, because if part of the network doesn't perform to that quality, then that affects the whole brand. So you've got to look at those things. You've got to look at things like, if something went wrong from a management staffing point of view, that you've got that support there to call on to help you through what could be some tricky times. That if you're preparing for audits, we've got a compliance team, there's a marketing team, we've got HR support, we've got legal support, all those things come together to help you feel confident in getting your business off the ground. And also as you get bigger and it becomes more complex, it really does come into its own.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm sure. Yeah, you're learning that as you're getting three years in now, and growing quite rapidly. So
yeah, really quickly.
So obviously sometimes the fee can be a barrier to entry into a franchise, but was there any other barriers that you came across that you had to overcome, do you think, or were you just so passionate that it was all okay?
I was really passionate that everything was okay, and yes, it is a significant investment for us. I have to admit that some family were saying, "What on earth are you doing that for?" That was because it was care. They were really like, "What?" So that was quite difficult. But I never doubted it for a minute. Once I started to make those initial investigations, I just knew it was the right thing for me, and it is. And I wish I'd have done it quite some years ago. Maybe it wasn't the right time for me then.
Absolutely, that's it. So how did you feel then when you know, you'd gone through all of this process, you got your CQC accreditation? How did you feel then when you first started? You were there and doing it.
It was really exciting. I mean, getting your clients on at first is the bit that you're working on. So it's sort of a slow burn because that comes naturally. You know, you're not straight into the thick of things. So it was exciting. It was interesting. Every day was different, which I love. That's the thing I love about the role. Yeah, so it was an interesting time. It was an interesting time, lots to learn, lots of contacts to make, and just really making sure that the quality of the business was at the forefront of everything you do.
Mm-hmm. So in those early days, what was sort of your typical day like? Was it mainly just trying to contact potential clients? And
yeah, it was a lot of time spent in in cafes, speaking to people that I'd not seen for years and telling them about what I was doing. And you know, many of them worked for the NHS. They were in social care, all those type of things, and just contacting people in general in the community to let them know what we were doing, and that's proved invaluable. I spent a lot of time doing that at first, and it's made a really big difference. A lot of the referrals that I get are, you know, somebody who knows somebody who knows somebody who has recommended us. And because we're at year 3 now, a lot of our business comes on personal recommendation, which is brilliant. So yeah, initially a lot of time spent marketing, getting out there in the community, meeting up with people who are influential and getting those contacts that would help us in the business going forward. Also going out doing some care as well. In the early days, as you're starting to take on your clients, for me, I felt you need to understand your business properly before you expect other people to do it. So pretty much every role in the business I could get buy-in if I needed to, and that's just the way, you know, I need to know what's happening in my business. So yeah, I've been involved in everything at all stages. So
oh yeah, it makes sense if, you know, that's what you're doing, delivering care, so it makes sense that you understand what it's like to do that.
Yeah.
So yeah, definitely. So obviously I mentioned in your introduction that you had a fantastic first year, and obviously all that networking and meetings in coffee houses went well. And I think you actually, I'm trying to remember, but I think you actually had one of the best first years of any right at home franchisee ever. So well done, congratulations.
We did well. I'm not sure about that one, but yeah, we did really, really well.
Yeah, so how then, obviously we're sort of 3 years in now, so how has the business grown? What's happened, and has your role changed at all from right at the start? I'm assuming it probably has.
Yeah, definitely. The business has grown massively. We're expanding really well at the moment. We're advertising for 2 new office-based roles. So given what we've been going through over the last few months, we've stayed stable and we're continuing to grow. So that's been really, really good. In terms of my role, I've got some great managers in place now, really, really good team, and I'm very, very pleased with them. So if you train them well to do the things that you do and to run the business in the way that you want them to, I'm starting to feel that, well, I was starting to feel until we hit this lovely period of time that we've had, that I could start to step back a bit, not be as get out again more in the community, not be as in the office every day, you know, not be as involved in the detail really, and that's sort of a nice place to be, especially when your business is still growing and you've got confidence in the team that you have around you. But that takes some work, and it hasn't always been that way, and there's been peaks and troughs along the way, as in any business.
I'm sure, yeah, I think that's a really crucial thing to understand. It's still your own business, like you know, you're still the business owner, and so yes, you get this great sort of, a lot of people call it a business in a box, which
right, okay, good.
Possibly not quite, but you know, you get this package basically, and for you to follow, but ultimately it's still your business to get out there and get the clients, and you've got to deal with the peaks and the troughs, as you said. So it's important to sort of, I think, understand that at the start, the first few years probably are going to be quite difficult, but ultimately the gain towards the end possibly is that it does change your lifestyle and possibly your work-life balance as well, depending how much you let.
Yeah, I mean that was the plan for this year, but who knows now. Yeah, I mean you can't get into a business like this and think you're not going to have to put 24/7 in, because you work really hard in the first 2 years and you've got all sorts of obstacles thrown in your way. You've got to be really resilient. You know, it is really tough. But if you genuinely want to do it, then it doesn't sort of feel like that at times. You know, there's stressful times and you know, really, really difficult times. But as you say, you get to the rewarding stage where things start to happen because you've molded your team in the way you want them to work, and you've got strong managers in place where you can actually not have to be there 24/7, and those people will be making the right decisions for your business, you know, with you overviewing that. I don't think I'm the type of person who would ever not be heavily involved, if I'm honest, which is good, because I think in this business you need to be. But yeah, definitely to look at getting that work-life balance now, and being able to do some of the things, you know, maybe that I've wanted to do as well, and leave responsible people in charge of the business who I know will make the right decisions and are empowered to make those decisions as well.
Yeah, absolutely. What's the support from the other franchisees been like? You mentioned on your initial training that there was a few other new starters there. Have you kept in touch with them as well and grown with them along the way?
Yeah, definitely. One's a very close neighbour, so yes, we do. That was Ben, who's at South Cheshire. But yeah, I do keep in contact. The support network from the other franchisees is amazing. It really is. And there's always somebody who's willing to help you if they've all been through the same thing. We're all at different stages, but there's a really, really good support network. So we do correspond regularly through Facebook groups, through webinars, or just picking the phone up and having a chat. And if somebody's feeling a little bit, you know, things are getting a little bit difficult, they'll often just pick the phone up. Can I just run this past you? Have you come across this? What's your thoughts on that? And that really, really helps. It really does. And people genuinely want everyone to do well. So it feels a very inclusive network, rather than people who are trying to compete against each other. And we're all quite competitive, I think. Well, some of us are. but yeah, it's a really nice network to be part of.
I suppose you've all got the same goal in mind, haven't you? I suppose that especially in your business with providing quality care, you've all got to do it. Otherwise, you know, one person can let the whole brand down, I suppose. So
yeah, exactly.
It's important to support each other. So do you think that owning your own business will, maybe eventually, maybe not this year as you planned, but will let you or allow you to sort of do things that you've always wanted to do but possibly didn't think that you would, or that you wouldn't do otherwise without owning your own business?
Yeah, I think it'll give us the lifestyle that we want, because my husband actually joined the business in January. So yeah, he was the finance director, and so he now does that side of things for us. So that has been great, because it gives us the flexibility, you know, to both be available to do things at the same time, which we would never have been able to do had we been employed. And that, you know, that was a big step for us as a business to do that. So we're really confident that's going to make a difference. And then, of course, straight after that, we headed straight into the pandemic. So we've had a few holidays cancelled.
So, as with many people.
Yeah.
Do you think then, through going through this process and obviously growing the business and everything, that you've actually changed as a person, or developed skills as well, and developed as a person that you weren't maybe expecting?
Yeah, I think so. I think I think it's made me focused on what I want as well as what everyone else wants. And it sort of makes you realise the quality of life as well that you've got, because it's a care business. It sort of makes you really grateful for the people around you and their health. and sometimes you probably rush through life not really thinking about that much. So that has made a difference, and definitely being able to have that work-life balance as well, that we can do things when we want to do them, and we can manage that around the needs of the business. So yeah, I think but definitely to appreciate the people and things around you is one thing that I've definitely got from that.
Yeah, that's really interesting, thank you. So obviously we've kind of touched on the coronavirus, and sort of obviously the massive impact that that's had across the country. So just sort of talk us through that time then, sort of when it first hit, what were your thoughts? Obviously, I mean, delivering care to the elderly, just talk us through what went through your head.
I have to say, I didn't sign up for that one. Didn't see that one coming at all. So obviously it was an extremely stressful time. So not only was I thinking about the clients, I was thinking about my staff.
Yeah.
I was thinking about my own personal circumstances, family, and so there was lots of things to deal with. Again, going back to having such a strong team around me was invaluable, and also the national office support, because we were on daily webinars, we were getting information through from the UKHCA by a national office, and we were involved in audios with the UKHCA, looking at government advice, and that was changing literally by the hour at the beginning. It was really hard to keep up with, and being part of that network really helped. So you'd got national office, the compliance team were with people specifically looking at the rules, the regulations, what we should get, what we shouldn't get, the quality of the PPE. The big thing for care was the ability to source PPE, and what we found was that, so whilst we were going through all these things and thinking how we're going to keep people safe and what impact's it going to have on our staff, how do we protect them, how do we, what do we do about the office, all those things were happening, but also our supply chain was pulled for PPE. So the company that we'd been ordering for 3 years suddenly had the stocks taken by the government for the NHS, and we were left with a regular supply completely disrupted, which was significant for us. So nobody could really have seen that would happen so quickly. We had enough stocks because we do keep stocks. However, the support again of National Office, because they then centralised the PPE. So Kate managed all that for us at National Office. Then we had the power of bulk buy-in, which again kept the price down for us, because we've seen 100, 200, 300% increases in the price of things that we had to get. But because we had the power of the brand and the number of the amount of stock that they needed to get, they managed that nationally for us, got it distributed. So that was amazing, because that literally, when that first happened, there could have been 60 odd franchisees all on the phone trying to sort that out for weeks, because that's how you just couldn't get hold of the stocks from anywhere. So having not to worry about that and let someone else deal with that for you and still get them meant you could focus on keeping your clients safe, and that was invaluable. And then the knowledge and the delivery of that, and making sure that not only us but our teams were all updated on the latest advice, has been massive, really.
And how were your teams with it? I mean, I'm sure you probably had people off as well, having to deliver probably extra care with less staff. How did you manage that?
We had to deliver. We did have to deliver extra care, and obviously people were concerned, and we do have some staff that are shielding for their own health. Obviously, we had all the things. Staff all worried about their own situation. Because we're really dealing with people who mainly live in their own homes, actually the risk is probably much less, and that was making them aware of what the risks were. So rather than maybe somebody who worked in a supermarket or was coming across a lot of people every day, you know, our staff work in small teams, and they work with specific clients, and those clients generally are not going out that much. So we had to relook at how we did things to make sure that we kept those teams on those people to minimums, and some of the staff have been absolutely amazing. I think if anything, it's brought us really close together as a team. It's been absolutely humbling. So we'll have staff volunteering to just see one client, which means they might be driving back and forward because that client was vulnerable, and it would keep that client safe, and they were just going above and beyond to make sure that, because they care, that's the bottom line. And whilst, you know, we've had a lot of conversations with people trying to make sure that they're communicated to, and that we understand what their personal circumstances are as well, childcare issues, there's all sorts of things going on, but it really has strengthened the team. And also, you know, public really appreciate, I think, what the role of a caregiver, which is great.
And are the staff members, they're all employed by Right at Home, are they, rather than being self-employed caregivers?
Oh yes, they're all fully employed. Yeah, absolutely. We're responsible for all the training to make sure they're compliant, any NVQs or career development that they would like, and we really have a policy of trying to promote from within as well. So it's a career path for them, which I think care hasn't been seen as a career path often. So we try and promote people with the right skills from within the care team to strengthen the office team, so that they understand the demands of the role. And I think that really helps with to get a good balanced team.
Yeah, most definitely. Yeah. Okay, so as we're starting to sort of slightly ease out of the current situation, what do you see sort of happening for you guys and the team, and for your business, and what are your plans going forward into the future?
I can only see this team going from strength to strength. We are very busy at the moment. We're getting a lot of inquiries, which is really good. We're getting a lot of inquiries. Obviously, we're getting an awful lot of job applicants as well. So for us, that's looking at the people who genuinely want to try a career in care versus someone who just wants to get a job because they need a job really quickly. So that's sort of thrown us a challenge, really. The last job that we put out, we had 100 applicants, which is just huge. So it's a very good challenge to have, because traditionally in care it has been difficult. Although, to be fair, we haven't struggled, I think, reputationally, because of the way we treat people, that it's not as hard as for some care companies to get staff. So yeah, I can only see us going from strength to strength. I've got a very caring, passionate team, and I just love the business myself, so I can only see really positive things. Maybe a little bit more work-life balance that was planned earlier this year. That would be good. I think I'm sort of getting there now, and just hopefully just to keep everyone safe.
Yeah, brilliant. Okay, so I've got 2 more questions for you. So just going back then, just to talk about obviously being part of the franchise. So what would you say is the one major benefit of being part of a franchise network?
It's got to be support. So support from national office, always somebody to talk to run an idea past, to just get some advice from, and the other franchisees, the support from them as well is just invaluable. And the brand name, which has got a really good reputation, and that's really important.
Today, I was going to ask you as well, do they supply you with, so you said right at the start when you go out and about sort of networking and things like that, I mean, do they help you with that side of things as well, in terms of marketing, sales and things like that, as well as sort of operational support?
Yes, definitely, that's all part of the plan. So that's sort of my background, so I perhaps haven't needed as much support as others with that. In some ways, but yeah, you get a suite of as part of your franchise. When you buy your franchise, you get availability of marketing material, so you can choose what's right for your business. You don't have to have a set, certain type of thing, and also support with just who you need to go out and you know, who you need to make your contacts, a marketing plan really. So that's part of the first 12 months when you're setting up.
Okay.
Then as you move through the franchises, there's obviously other points where you're looking to upscale to a certain level, you know, how that staffing might look. It can be different. It's completely your decision, but it can be different in each office. But generally there's sort of a pattern that would that tends to fit. So that help as you're upscaling, you know, as to who should be doing what, all those things are included as well. Yeah.
Yeah, I suppose as your skills develop as well and as business changes, that's the support that you need changes as well, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's different support at different stages of the business, completely different, but it is all there for you. And if it's not there and you ask the question, then you tend to find that pretty soon it is.
Brilliant. Okay, so my last question then. Obviously, hopefully there's lots of ladies watching at the minute that might be thinking about buying a franchise in the future. So what would your advice be to somebody who is looking into franchising as a way to owning their own business?
I think there's a couple of things. I think sometimes there's a perception out there certainly was sort of from my banking days and maybe now, that if you've got a franchise, you're not in control of what's happening in your business, which is completely not the case. All the decisions are mine. You know, how much we charge, what we pay, you know, how we do things on a day-to-day level. It is completely your business with autonomy to do, you know, it's your business. But the model is to follow to help you to make that business successful. So I think that's something you need to make really clear to people, because there's a perception sometimes that isn't the case.
Yeah.
I think I would do your homework and make sure it's a business. You've got to be passionate about the business you're in, whatever that might be, because you've got to put an awful lot of time and energy into making it work. I think particularly for women, I think you've got to appreciate that those first 2 years are going to be very difficult, juggling the needs of family, etc. If you're at that stage in your life, you've got to consider that, but actually the benefits from that afterwards should allow you to get that real work-life balance that will allow you to you know, spend that time with your family and when you want to, because once you get your business up and running, if you want to be working, you know, first thing, I'm 6 o'clock in the morning person. If you want to be up and working at 6 o'clock and then, you know, have some time to take the kids to school or whatever that might be, you know, spend time with your family and then work again in the evening, you can do that once you get things up and running. So definitely a good consideration, but with that support network in place for you.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point to make. Yeah, thank you, Julie. Well, thank you so much for joining me. It's been a real pleasure to speak to you and find out a little bit more about you and Right at Home, actually. So I hope you guys watching have also found that really interesting. Like I mentioned earlier, if you do have any questions for Julie, please do pop them below the video, and she will try to endeavour to answer them in the comments below when she gets a chance. And if you are watching and think that franchising could be a new adventure for you, like it was for Julie, then do join us on one of our next EWiF online meetings, where you can find out more about franchising and speak to other people who have been in your position before they joined a franchise themselves, and get all the sort of inside information on one of our meetings. You can just go to the EWiF website, which is ewif.org, and take it from there. So thank you everyone again for joining me, and I will see you all on the next one.
Thank you.